Hello, everybody. Welcome to this sixth episode of presentation of the winner of Italian Excellence Award 2023. Today, I'm glad to introduce you Dr. Joe Tacopina, a famous New York lawyer, the Cicero of New York, and the president of S.P.A.L sports team that many of you know as the main team of City of Ferrara. Hello, Joe.
Hi, how are you, Pietro? Nice to see you.
Good, nice to see you. And I beg your pardon for my English. It's not that I have to switch from Italian to English because in your case you are an American excellence and an Italian excellence. So we decided to interview you in English. So if I make some mistakes, please.
Your English is terrific. Your English is terrific. Trust me.
No.
So we're good to go.
So,
we're okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, too kind. Okay, so my first curiosity is about the link between America and Italy. I mean, you are a sports president of a team, and sports in Italy. It's important, but it does not. It's not that it plays a role as in America, most of all in schools, most of all in, do you think that we can learn a lot about American mentality, mindset for what concern sports? What do you think you are giving to Italy in this sense, to your team? Do you think that can you notice some difference between the way in which players approach a match in Italy and the players and the way in which players approach a match in US, or it's quite the same?
You know, when I first came into Italian football 15 years ago, I was the first American to come into Italian football when I launched the AS Roma project and we purchased Roma, where I served as vice president for 4 years and then went to Bologna as president, Venezia as president, and then S.P.A.L. I've seen an evolution in 15 years of a difference. But the real difference between American sports, the North American sports business model, and the Italian football model is really the fiscal elements of it. And what I mean by that is it's a much healthier fiscal model in North American sports as opposed to the Italian football model. And that's changing. And it had to change because, you know, you had teams like the greatest teams in Italy, Inter or Milan. I mean, Inter was losing over 100 million euros a year. There's no major team in American sports that loses that kind of money. As a matter of fact, the Dallas Cowboys, or, you know, which is equivalent to like Inter, right, is profits, you know, hundreds of millions a year. So it's just a big difference. It's a big difference how these things are run. But, you know, what I found was that most Italian owners, the Italians who were successful Italian businessmen and whatever else they did, purchased these teams for social currency benefits. They thought it was maybe it would help their other businesses if they owned the team in that city that they lived in and resided in and had their other businesses in. But they didn't run them like a successful business. They ran them like, you know, almost like a neighborhood soccer club where they'd expect to lose money every year. They thought it was par for the course. They thought it was something that they had to do to carry on the team. You don't have to do that. I mean, Atalanta is a great example in the last 10 years of a team that has, you know, a provincial small team that doesn't have the revenue stream of a Juventus or a AC Milan or a Real Madrid, but has been profitable because of how they run it. It's a fiscally sort of responsible operation. So it's the North American sports business model that I tried to bring into Italy. And of course, it's not easy. It wasn't easy because the mindset, the culture is different. You know, in the example, and the drastic example is a pie. If you take a pie, you know, the thing we eat for dessert, like a pie. You know, if you divide that pie equally in thirds, that's a very healthy model. And that's what you have in North American sports. In the Premier League, you have the thirds are split into commercial revenues, game day revenues, and media revenues. The pie in Italy is like 88% of that pie is the is the media revenues, which are baked into the league contracts. And you don't that means you're lagging way behind in the game day revenues and in the commercial revenues, and all the other things, sponsorships and merchandising and things like that, and even ticketing. I mean, the Italian stadium is so antiquated for the most part. I mean, we at S.P.A.L have a beautiful new stadium. There are a couple new stadiums and a couple of beautiful stadiums, but there are not many. And most teams have these very old, antiquated, not fan-friendly stadiums. And that's a big difference in getting people to want to go to games when you could sit in the comfort of your home with a high definition television set, and watch a game with much more of a feel for the game than you do when you're sitting, in an Olympic style stadium, which is so far removed from the pitch. It doesn't create that feeling. But that's the biggest distinction. It's starting to change. I think the Italian football model is starting to become a little more North American like. They're creating revenue streams from things that normally we didn't really focus on before: stadium naming rights, bigger sponsorship deals, doing things that focusing on merchandising, other things that were just never done here.
And sorry, do you think sorry if I interrupt you, but do you think that this model, Italy can acquire this model and can thanks to this new acquisition can become a healthier model? Is it possible actually to acquire this model, or we do not have the funds? Because I mean, in America,
no, Pietro, it is possible, because what you have, it's not about the funds, because the funds are coming. I was the first American. We now have a dozen Americans in Italian football, right? And we have some wealthy people, some billionaires. Rocco Commisso, Redbird Capital, who owns the AC Milan. You have some massive individuals. Kyle Krause, who owns Parma. Very substantial money. So the money's there. So it's not about just throwing money into it. It's about throwing money into it and implementing an operation that is conducive to creating revenues. Because what you don't want to do, no matter how wealthy you are, you don't want to put in and lose 50 million euros every year, 100 million euros every year, 30 million euros every year. No one, even the wealthiest man in the world, doesn't want to do that. And that's been the problem with Italian football, and why a lot of teams disappear, bankrupt, come back up, and go away, or change ownership so frequently. You have to be sustainable. You can't have, the player contracts dwarf the revenues, and you can't do that. So things are starting to change. Atalanta's been very disciplined. Wherever I've been, I've tried to be disciplined. We won the championship in Bologna, where we just got relegated, and I took the team over then. And, we were fiscally responsible there. I mean, we got rid of some heavy contracts, and we restructured the team. So, it was different there. Obviously, in Venice, it was a whole different story. They went bankrupt when I took them, and we had to build from Serie D. And we
it was 2000. Sorry, it was 2015.
That was 2015. 15, correct.
15, yeah, right. Okay.
And so we had to
so
start from
you took Venice. Okay.
Yep.
You took the Venice team, and
then S.P.A.L.
Okay.
After.
Okay.
So it's and as far as the community, one thing I will say is that no matter how important our sports teams here are in America, they don't compare to how important they are to the communities in Italy for each team. Like, for instance, S.P.A.L and Ferrara, Catania and Catania, Palermo and Palermo. Bologna in Bologna. I mean, that year in Bologna I spent was an incredible year. It was really one of the most unforgettable years of my life. That city, I still get 100 emails a month, literally still, from the Bologna fans thanking me for reviving their team. And it's a beautiful thing, but it shows you the level of passion they have there. I mean, the teams there, as I've said, are part of the fiber of the community. It's part of the fiber of the community. It's not like in North American sports, we like, I don't know, the Yankees or something, and they lose, and you go to work the next day, and you could be a fan of the team, but it doesn't really affect your mood on a daily basis. When a team struggles in Italy, AS Roma, when I was there, and we lost a lot to in the Coppa Italia final, that was a tough. Like, there were some people that were like really disabled, like literally like in bed for 3 days. So it's just different. The level of passion is different. And in America, we have 5 major sports leagues, right? We have the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. We have NHL, National Hockey League, and now we have MLS, which is now, as you see, become a real league. So that's 5 major sports leagues here. It's a lot of leagues. In Italy, it's football, right? Yeah, there's basketball teams and all that other stuff, but it's football.
It's a problem,
It's a problem, but it's also a benefit. It's one of the reasons why everyone's so passionate about these clubs, and the passion there is something you can't buy for all the money in the world. So I think, to me, the Italian football product, when I came in 2010 and 11 and started this venture, were the most undervalued properties in all of sport. They still are undervalued properties. That's why you see hedge funds, like American hedge funds, coming into Italian football, not only in Serie A, but in Serie B, and taking those. It sort of vindicated me a little bit, because when I first did this, people thought I was crazy. And said, why would you ever put money into Italian football? Why would you ever make that investment? And I said, because I believe in the potential. I believe in the upside. You just have to fix it. Well, now, 15 years later, you're getting some of the wealthiest funds in the world coming into Italian football. So that's a good thing for Italian football.
No, of course, and I think that this model can help also to foster the young sector, because in Italy we have maybe some problems with the young sectors. A lot of young footballers do not want to continue, because the sector do not push them to continue. It's
Right.
very competitive. It's very maybe such a system can help also young guys and girls to find again hope in their dream, and not only in their dream. And maybe also in that case, it can be an healthier system, because I know that already in young sector there are some money problems, some society has, as football societies has to do also with these problems already with young. And so the children are faced with these problems since they are young, and they do not grow up in a place that is safe for them when they are little. If this is only a question of money, I think that it would be nicer if they are first of all introduced to sports value, and then when they are older, maybe they start older. I think teenagers. Yep. They start to speak about money, they start to speak, and so on and so forth. And so I think, do you think that if the system is healthier, they can solve some problems also in the young sectors?
The youth sector is the most important part of my project at S.P.A.L. I mean, that's just the way it is, because we're never going to compete with the AC Milans of the world, Juventus of the world, that make 700 million in revenues a year and spend, 300 million on a roster. That doesn't 400 million. I mean, that's never going to happen. So the way teams, or provincial teams, smaller teams, compete with bigger teams like that is through scouting in the youth sector. It's the only way to go. Atalanta, again, has set that standard. They've done it perfectly. I mean, they're a small provincial team from Bergamo. We have a nicer stadium than they do. We have better facilities, but they have done something spectacular. They've focused their investments on the youth sector and the scouting, and it's returned massive rewards to them. I mean, they made Champions League, not because they bought the most expensive player in the world. As a matter of fact, when players get too expensive, at least in the player's mind, Atalanta says, here, go straight down the road to AC Milan's right down there, into Milan's there's Juventus, go ahead. And they reload, and they've been very healthy, but that's the reason they're profitable. The youth sector is the most important part for so many reasons. At S.P.A.L, we just won 2 consecutive national championships. As poorly as our first team has done in the first couple of years of my venture there, our youth sector has won 2 national championships. Our first 2 Scudettos, we beat Bologna, AC Milan and Bologna in the first year. We beat AS Roma in the finals last year, two of my previous teams. And that was something amazing. S.P.A.L has won 2 national championships because of our youth sector being so loaded. I think we have more players in our youth sector representing the Italian national teams than Juventus does, which says a lot about our youth sector, because they're Italians. And look, I don't think it takes really genius to figure out that if we, as Italian football owners, don't invest in our youth, and I mean our Italian youngsters who want to play in our youth sectors, we're failing the system, because Italy hasn't made a World Cup in 8 years. I mean, how pathetic is that? Just even saying that is hard to even fathom. The last 2 World Cups, Italy's not in. I mean, It's crazy.
And this is true.
It's
Unfortunately, this is
absolutely
true.
crazy.
It
And
hurts,
then why
but
is that? It's because we're not developing our youth, our talent. There's so much talent in Italy, but we're not developing them the way they should be developed. So that's that's a big problem. And also, then you have an obligation to the community. We at S.P.A.L, we've opened up a settore femminile,
yeah,
which is for the young girls, and our youth sector. We opened up a convito, one of the nicest in the country, according to people from Serie A. They said our convitos are the best in the country, which is which houses the youth players and players from outside of our provincia, our country. So it's been the youth sector is where you have to focus on. First of all, it's a great investment. I mean, when I tell you we sold a player this year for 7 million that we purchased for 50,000 2 years ago. I could tell you that story. That happened 3 times to me already. I mean, we sold Dembasek 2 years ago to Torino for 4 million. He grew up in our youth sector. We didn't pay for him. Prati this year, Cagliari, 5 million plus 2 in bonuses, 7 million for a player that a year before we took from a Serie D club for like 50,000. It's it's daunting when you look at those numbers, how you could really be fiscally healthy by developing young players, developing them, and then selling them. And we at S.P.A.L, we have 9 players from our youth sector on the first team right now. So it takes courage to do that. It takes courage, but it's a smart investment in the future.
Yeah, it's like we can say that it's like, maybe I'm wrong, but it's like a draft within like in NBA within a society. So they decided to invest on young. I know that every year in NBA, NFL, you have the draft when you take the player from college. Do you think that this is a system that can be proposed also in Italy,
No,
or it's not possible because we do not have because we do not have the same attention. We do not take care of sports in high school as you do, for example, or
right?
as you.
No,
So
there's no draft possible in Italy. I mean, because you don't have a college system that has 18-year-olds coming out ready to go professional who aren't already owned by some team, number one, and number two, who when you get drafted, you cannot be a professional already. So
yeah,
the draft model in college with the NFL or the NBA is the players go to college, in North America rather, they go to college, they're 18, 19, 20, 21. They finish their college careers, they declare themselves eligible for the professional draft, and then they get drafted, and based on a pecking order of worst record gets the first pick, best record gets the last pick, and that helps keep parity and keep balance in the league by helping them draft stronger players. But you can't have it. There's not enough lifetimes on this call right here
also because
to
in
implement the
football,
system that would allow for a draft, because you don't have that. Players are turning professional at 14 in Italy. They're being scouted.
yeah, exactly.
You don't have universities. You don't have a university system in Italy that allows major competitions. Like there's no, I don't know, Foscari F.C. Right? There's no University of Rome F.C.
I
You
know.
don't have that. So you forget that. You just have to be better at scouting and put your focus on scouting and attracting young players. And one of the reasons we attract a lot of young players is we offer more than just football. Quality of life, it's education and things like that, and that's important.
Yeah, no, my question was, I meant, refining the football system means also refining the school system. So if we take care more about sports also in school, we can propose a model that is American also in sports, that foster students to pursue their dreams, their sports dreams, because the scholastic system now it's difficult to accommodate the school with a sports career. So a lot of young people, since the future is not in Italy, we say non è così roseo. The translation is it's not so pink. Okay, so it's not so beautiful for them. They decide to leave the sports aside and concentrate on school. And in fact, you notice that a lot of another youth sectors, like in America, like also in France, in England, they are more powerful because they foster students to continue. And I think that your strategy can help also in Italy to pursue the youth sector and to help. Yeah. to young players to continue to follow their dreams and maybe one day starts to play in Serie A or in another excellent league. I have one last question.
Mhm.
Do you think that in Italy we have changing this system? We can also create a more healthier before you were talking about people that get mad when they lost get mad when so a more safer sports situation in the stadium so you think that this system can help also to avoid situation that are not fair play linked behave, because you know in Italy we have it's one of the states with the worst fair play, unfortunately. So do you think that such a model can help also to not only economic fair play? I'm talking about everything. Do you think that this change of model can help also to change the fair play model? So the model in which I know it seems a complex question or a chaotic one, but do you think that this change in economy, change of view in finance and economy, can help also to lead us to not to be so terrible in the another kind of fair play that is not the financial fair play, but we can say the moral fair play.
Yeah, it could. I mean, that's a cultural thing that's going to have to be worked
Yeah,
on for sure. I mean, from there's an obligation on behalf of not only the team and the management, the ownership, but also the fans, to be respectful and to be, you know, to have that the distinguished good sportsmanship. And that's one of the biggest complaints about Italian football, that there's a little those lines get crossed a lot, with fans in particular. That's unfortunate. I mean, I know they're passionate, but you have to be passionate in a positive way. You can be upset with a team's results, but you have to also be positive and productive, not do damage to your team by creating a hostile environment. One, two, you have players who have to also live up to fair play. And to me, a perfect example, it seems like it's a pandemic in Italy. It's a pandemic in Italy when you see, and it happens all the time. And I don't like it when my team gets the advantage of it either, because it's just not fair. There's this crisis in Italy that whenever a team is winning by a goal or two in the last 10 minutes of the game, the winning team seems to have this medical condition that causes them to be overcome by cramps.
Yeah.
Only the winning
true.
team, the team that's leading, that's trying to protect the lead, has this incredible medical crisis of cramping. The team that's trying to score a goal and has 10 minutes left of desperation never gets a cramp, but the team that wins always gets cramps. Now, what does that say? It simply says that we're cheating. It's cheating, right? When you fake an injury, because the clock doesn't stop. When you fake an injury and lay on the ground and raise your hand and look, honestly, I'd be humiliated if that were me. I mean, I played hockey on a professional level. Like if I ever did that, my teammates would laugh. I would never be able to play again. When I see players roll on the ground, waving their hand, or have a cramp that causes them to sit on the ground for 3 or 4 minutes as the clock runs, I hate it. I hate it. If my team does it, I hate it. And I've told them I don't want that. I don't want to cheat to win. That's cheating. It's just cheating. And there's a way to stop it, but it'll never happen because there's these traditionalists that don't want to ever change anything. But times call for change sometimes. And I think that's one of the way to stop it is, the last 15, 20 minutes of a game, whenever the ball goes out of play, whenever a guy goes down the field for an injury, stop the clock. Stop the clock in the last 15 minutes. Watch how miraculously we cure the cramp crisis. If any time a player went down for a cramp, the referee stopped the clock, add some arbitrary added time, which never equals up to the amount of time lost, right? Ever, never. If they stopped the clock, I bet you cramps would stop. So I don't like that, because to me that's not fair play. When you see videos of guys being like touched like this and they fall on the floor like they were shot and they roll around, it's cheating. And that's something I have a real problem with. I just do. And I'm not talking about against me. I'm talking about against me or for me or whatever. And there's a reputation we as Italians have in the sporting world as, you know, floppers, as guys who do
Yeah.
that, or soft and not tough. So I don't like that as well. Financial fair play obviously is a key component. Otherwise, you'll have the richest teams winning all the time, and the teams, that can't compete with that revenue stream never winning. That's not really a league. It's like, it's like the French league, right? Like, Paris Saint-Germain and
Yeah.
who? Like Monaco, what? I mean, so it's that's not a league, and that's not fun. That's not enjoyable. So,
Joe, I thank you for your availability. Sorry if my
sure,
English
thank you.
was not so good, but I think
We had no
you were.
problems.
I mean, yeah. You answer perfectly to all the question, and I think you will help a lot of people to understand better how this model can influence positively our football system. So I remember to all the people are watching us that Joe Tacopina with others winners of Italian Excellence Prize will be awarded on 14 of October in Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. So I suggest you to follow us on Instagram, to follow Dr. Tacopina on Instagram, to follow S.P.A.L, and to continue to foster our enterprise of sharing and presenting Italian excellence in the world. Thank you guys for your attention. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you, Pietro. Bye.